Oh, it's you again. Hi there. It's so good to see you. I was just reading this Bitcoin magazine article, which was actually written by me and they published it. And I'm very proud to have an article published in Bitcoin magazine. There's this tradition that goes back all the way to 2013. And it's been my dream to publish in Bitcoin magazine and have just at least one article published in the magazine, as in the printed version. And who am I kidding? They never published any article of mine, which is kind of sad. I mean, I guess I didn't stick around for too long. Okay, so before I get depressed and I figure out that I never actually had an article published in the actual magazine and I just played a joke on myself, let me present to you the gift of today. It's BTChristmas, it's 12 gifts of BTChristmas, it's ho ho ho, and I want to present to you the Bitcoin full node phone, which is released and developed by HTC, which used to be one of the biggest manufacturers in the mobile phone and smartphone field in 2010 or 2011, when I was still a teenager and I really wanted to get an HTC. It was like the coolest phone ever, had so many features. It was the phone that everyone wanted, but very few cool kids actually had. And if you know a little something about HTC, then you know that they like to experiment with fancy technologies. They experimented with a phone which had some sort of projector and also with 3D imaging on mobile phones, and this was back in the early 2010s. But I guess it was the iPhone and Huawei and Samsung that disrupted their model and built more traditional phones. But years later, HTC is still innovating and is still trying to bring something new to the table. And in this case, it's a Bitcoin full node phone, which also has an integrated hardware wallet inside. It's called the Exodus 1S. And this was launched last year in 2019. I was there in Berlin when they presented it. It was at the Lightning conference, and I couldn't wait to get my hands on this one. It's kind of a nice basic entry-level smartphone, except that it has this. It's called Zion. You enter it, and it's your personal wallet, which allows you to use a Bitcoin full node and validate your own transactions and be financially sovereign on the go, which is something very nice, and it's something for which I really appreciate HTC as a company, because they take this risk and they try to bring something that nobody else has dared to do before. At the same time, I also gotta give them credit, because you can find an unboxing video of mine and you can find a review of mine online, and I did express some criticism about features that I wanted to get added, and some of them ended up being added to a recent update. So they did add SegWit support for Bitcoin. They did make the initial block download a lot faster, but I still have to check that, because earlier this year I ran a test and I saw how fast this phone can sync a full node. It was about 14-15 days, so 2 weeks, which is like the perfect meme for waiting in the Bitcoin space. So 2 weeks of waiting to sync your node on an external SD card on the HTC Exodus 1S. Now they say they made it faster, and to make it faster they need to allocate more RAM. So I suppose they have done that, and I will do a testing. So at some point in the future I will do another video and explain how long it took me to sync the entire Bitcoin blockchain. I presume that in the meantime a lot more blocks have been added, so there's a lot more storage that's required, which means the time required for synchronization is going to be extended. But I'm not worrying much. I just like the concept, and I'm happy that I own this and I get to try it. At the same time, I also need to express some criticism, and I'm going to show it just in a nutshell. Let me type in my password here, and you're not allowed to see it, no, because I'm financially sovereign. And something which I don't like about the typing system is that you don't see which letter you are typing. And I can understand that this was done for security purposes. So usually on this type of keyboard, when you type a new letter or number, usually it enlarges, it gets bigger so that you can see what happened. But in this case, you're never really sure which letter you have typed, which is an inconvenience, and it can lead you to mistakenly write down your password the wrong way. At the same time, I suppose they could randomize the keyboard, so they could scramble the letters on the screen and allow it to get larger, just like I think Trezor does something like that with their interface. When you recover your seed on the Trezor 1, they display a scrambled keyboard and you just click on the screen in the right places to type in your seed. With this one, they could do something similar, so that's an advice to reduce the amount of time that's required to sign into your Zion wallet. Because there is a PIN number that you have to type in, and it can get annoying sometimes. The fact that you can have long waits until you actually see your wallet. And once you see your wallet, I need to address this criticism. So I have 0 USD in assets, okay? I did not deposit funds in this, but what is this? It's supposed to be a Bitcoin full node phone. And the first coin that you see is BNB, which is the Binance Exchange token, which is an ERC20 token. And then you have Ethereum and Litecoin and Stellar. Like, okay. So you go to Bitcoin and it says full node right at the top. You go to it. I suppose the interface is nice because you see charts. You also can scroll and see some news about what happened to Bitcoin recently. But you go to the full node, you tap setup. You're going to need a very large SD card, which I suppose you can find a 400 gigabyte SD card, which is also the one that I have, or the 512 gigabyte one. And I suppose now, after the optimization, it's gonna take less than 2 weeks to synchronize the entire blockchain. But at the same time, you look at this and you go to receive, for example, and the first coin that you're seeing is the Binance coin. And then you go to dApps, and what do you see here? You see Decentraland, you see Augur, you see Uniswap, you see Compound, you see DAO Maker, and the only BTC one that you can use is actually Bitrefill, but that's not even Bitcoin exclusive. And something that I wish they added was an integration for you to open Lightning channels. I suppose you can open Lightning channels with Tor, with Bitrefill. They do have that, so you can buy Lightning channels from them. But what's the point when you could at least open some Lightning channels by yourself? And you also see that you have Bitcoin.com, and this is Nodl, but it's not Nodl, N-O-D-L. It's not that one, so it doesn't connect to your full node. This is something else. And Opera is just a terrible browser. You should not be using it in 2010. Just go to Firefox or Tor. And then you have a dedicated menu for DeFi, and you have Compound and Maker. And it makes me wonder, this is supposed to be a Bitcoin full node phone, but is this just a gimmick? Because it's more of an Ethereum phone right now. It has more features for Ethereum, and maybe that this results from a greater demand for these services. Maybe that users want to get on Compound and do whatever. But it still makes me wonder. It also has these fiat to crypto and crypto to crypto exchange features, but I just wish there was more Bitcoin stuff. You can use SegWit as a default address, and once again, okay, you have 2 addresses in your wallet, and you can generate a new one, and that's another problem that I have with this wallet, that it doesn't really support you generating multiple addresses for privacy. I suppose it generates a new one after you receive an amount of Bitcoin in your wallet, but I still don't think it's enough. I wish you could generate as many receiving addresses as you wanted from your full node, because that's the way it should be. That's how sovereignty should be achieved. These are just recommendations that I wish HTC would consider adding. And of course, there should be Lightning support because it's long overdue. This was launched at the Lightning conference in Berlin, and it still doesn't support Lightning a year later. And that would be very nice if they did. I suppose that's the greatest addition that they could make to this phone. Or if they don't want to develop something for Lightning, they can just allow you to connect your Blue Wallet phone app to the full node so that you use a whole different wallet, but it has the integration to use your full node. That's something that we should try to get. And if we don't get, then I've seen that the Japanese developer Neyuta is trying to develop its own sort of dashboard application, which is also compatible with the HTC Exodus 1S. So that's a very nice addition, but I feel like this could do more. I wish it did more, and I wish it was more of a Bitcoin only wallet, because you buy this for the Bitcoin full node. There is no other reason for you to do it. And then you discover that there isn't much that you can do with this node. I wish there were more interactions. I wish there were more ways of connecting it to different applications. There are more integrations and ways for you to actually make use of your node as a truly sovereign individual. Right now it looks gimmicky, and it has been looking gimmicky for a year, and there are lots of improvements that could be made in this field. So HTC, I hope you're listening to this. I'm really grateful that you sent me this phone. I really appreciate it. I like using the full node, but at the same time, I just wish I had more Bitcoin features. You can even take open source code from Blue Wallet or something and add them, integrate them into your software, into Zion. And you can also add Blue Wallet to the list of applications and possibly have some sort of integration, because I know Nuno from Blue Wallet is one of the hardest working developers. There's also Lawrence Nahum, also did ABC Core or AB Core, which allows you to run a pruned full node on any Android phone. I guess you can work with him. Just make something that allows you to run Lightning, because that's something that I desire, that's something that I want to see in a phone, that's something that I would buy. And it's nice that you as a company, as an HTC, are also working on routers and other devices that run a full node. But just consider supporting the software and adding more features, because it's been a year, and usually people keep their phones for like a couple of years and then they change them. And for now, the incentive for me to use this as opposed to getting a more expensive and feature-packed Android, which can run third-party software, which connects to my full node and which runs Lightning, I mean, the incentive for me to get that is greater. So please consider this, HTC. Add more features, add Lightning, and I can't wait to re-review your phone as soon as you do it. For now, I'm going to sync the whole blockchain once again, see how long it takes, and I hope that there's going to be greater demand for this phone this Christmas season, because at its core, no pun intended, it's really good and it's worth considering.